So in this chapter, we're going to talk about external wiring. And when I talk about external wiring, I'm talking about the wiring underneath your van connected to your alternator. So that way, when you're driving, your whole electrical system, your house battery system will charge off the alternator. It's electricity that your van is already creating, and this is probably the best way to get electricity into your van. And it's also probably the cheapest way to be able to do that as well. You can do solar. Thing is you need a pretty good amount of solar, a lot of solar panels on your roof to be able to make it effective. We put solar on all of our vans, but the big thing is just like basically a battery tender. It's not the main source of charging, but it is something that is going to keep your battery topped off, keep your battery healthy, mostly for storage purposes. But running the cable and charging off your alternator, that is probably one of the more important things that you can do for your electrical system. So here we have a Sprinter 144. How we go through and pass outside of the vehicle is we'll take this little area and we'll bend it out, and we'll use a step bit and we'll drill a hole right inside of this little slot right here. After that hole is drilled, we'll use what we call a snap bushing. And what this does is after you drill a hole, you have this raw exposed sharp metal. So you plug this in, and this will protect your wire from getting cut by that sharp metal. So snap bushings, these are very cheap, easy to install. Use them anytime you need to pass a piece of wire, any kind of wire through some metal, whether you drilled it or not. This is a little thing, cheap thing, but it's also going to add to the longevity of your whole electrical system. You're gonna find yourself on a lot of dirt roads if you're out camping a lot or you're traveling a lot, and all of those washboards create a lot of vibration. Cables have the ability to cut through some pretty incredible stuff. I've seen wire harnesses, wiggle their way through thick pieces of aluminum, steel, and then eventually the metal wins and it cuts through the insulation, and then you ground it. So important to use snap bushings. And if you don't have snap bushings, piece of felt, wrap some felt tape around the piece of metal, and you just want to protect it as much as you can. So here we're using 2-gauge wires, so it's pretty heavy gauge stuff. 4-gauge for the most part will work, and then we cover it with wire loom. So this is, again, one more layer of protection because you got a lot of power running through this cable. Make sure it's nice and protected. We've drilled our hole through there, and now we want to pass this wire through the bottom of the van. So we're going to show you where we pass the wire through and where we connect it to the electrical system of the van. So when you start your vehicle, your whole house battery system will charge itself. So underneath Sprinters, you'll have these little caps, these little plugs running down the inside of the body, and we'll show you guys, but this is where we like to pass our wires through, so that way we don't have to drill any metal. Pop this cap off, just use your step bit, drill a hole through there. You can use a snap bushing if you like, but plastic isn't gonna cut through any kind of wires. So that hole we drilled up there, you can drill any hole above one of these caps and then feed it down through and then pass it to the outside of your van and cap this guy back up. I think it's just a really neat, clean way to get wires passed through. So we talked about our alternator cable to charge the system. You also need a ground for your system. So the same thing that we did with the ACR, we just explained up top, and you want to drill that hole through the body and then run your ground to a place where you can just bolt it into the body of the van. You can use a thicker piece of metal, you can use this right here. It's just crucial that we shave off this rubberized coating so you have a bare metal connection. We use a plus nut so that way we can just bolt the thing right in. If you pop this cap off, you can get a through bolt and actually bolt this thing together, but try to get something that will not wiggle off, because if this comes loose, your whole electrical system is not gonna work. So you have this exposed metal. It is now important to use something like Flex Seal or some kind of rubberized spray or wipe on kind of sealant, because you want to make sure all of this bare metal is completely coated and covered so it doesn't corrode and get nasty down the road. Because if it corrodes too much, again, you're going to lose your connection and your electrical system isn't going to work. So a little plastic cap pops right off, drill a couple little holes in it, and then you can pass your wires straight through. And it's a neat, clean little way where you only need to drill one metal hole through the metal up top in between the walls, and then pass your stuff through. Just remember to seal it and make sure you shave this stuff down, use a grinder or something like that, so you have a bare metal connection and you have a nice solid ground. There are stock grounding points throughout the van. You can use those if you'd like. There's one, I believe it's in the center of the van on one of the cross beams, but you can make your own ground as well and it works perfectly well. This is the connection to the vehicle's battery or alternator, so that way your house battery system will charge while you're driving. When you go down underneath this van, you'll find that there is this little red cap. So you're going to want to pop this little cap off. You need to trim a little hole on the side, and then you're going to disconnect this guy and connect your cable right here. So you're going to run your cable, and you want a breaker. We use a 150 amp breaker. We're using 4-gauge cable for this. You can go up to 2-gauge, and that'll give you as much charging as you can possibly throw at it. We have a 30 amp charger, so we only need to have 4-gauge wire. It's very important that you fuse these wires. There's a lot of power running through this. And I like to get it up and against this frame rail, so it'll keep road spray and everything else to a minimum. You can get it even higher. You can put it way up here. That's nice too. But this works just fine. And remember, this is our little connection right here that's going to be underneath this red cap. And then you're done. You're ready to go. Remember, leave this off until everything is connected and you're ready to go, and then you switch it on. When you're connected to this battery, this is all hot and ready to go, so you want to keep that shut off. And you shut these off by just pushing that red button, and this little lever will pop out, and then this wire won't be hot. You're not going to be grounding. This is going to run all the way back to the battery. You're going to want a lots amount of zip ties, and this is why I like to use this split loom, because you're protecting this heavy gauge wire that's passing a lot of power to your house battery system. So lots of zip ties. There's a stock vehicle harness about right there, and you can zip tie it all the way down. You can also use P-clamps and screw them into the side of the vehicle. Just make sure everything is zip tied and it's strong. If you feel like you're using too many zip ties, you've probably used just the right amount of zip ties. So nice and protected, keep the thing from moving.